Russia has the strongest presence, strongest role in Arctic governing because of that. And there are rest of these Scandinavian countries, and then the islands which belong to, some of them are autonomous, some of them have administration from the other countries, of course US and Canada and so on. So how do we govern Arctic? It's not only, mostly Arctic belong to some countries, sovereign nations. But then there are also a large part of the Arctic which is actually does not belong to anyone. It's a no man's land. Of course, there are many people claim actually as their their extended continental shelf and so on in Arctic. But then there is also the areas which are not even belong to that. So that's why the fighting for the Arctic is happening, because Arctic is considered as one of the richest in mineral resources, especially the placer deposits, gold, platinum, and all those many rare minerals, and the petroleum resources. Most importantly, the living resources like fisheries and so on. And Arctic Council is a kind of a loose body of a kind of a intergovernmental mechanism to govern Arctic, which has basically all 8 Arctic countries, as I mentioned, plus there are observer states. India is one of the observer states to the Arctic. We became observer in 2013. And the difference between Antarctic and Arctic are so different. Like Arctic has an indigenous population, Antarctic does not have it. Arctic has belonged to mostly the various sovereign nations, whereas Antarctic does not belong to anyone. And Arctic, when it's Arctic, it's summertime, it's winter in Antarctic. And the life in Antarctic and Arctic are completely different, and so on. India itself has been started way back in 1981 to Antarctica, but actually, if you look at the science and other things, evolved much later, after a decade or so. Currently, we have 2 stations in Antarctica, as I mentioned, separated nearly about 3,000 kilometers. Bharati is the modern station, compared to Maitri, which is nearly more than 35-year-old. We also have a station in Svalbard in Arctic. We call it the Himadri. And considering that Himalaya and surrounding regions are kind of a third pole, the NCP also initiated the research in Himalayan glaciers way back in 2012. So if you look at, if you have an opportunity to come to NCPR, you have an opportunity to see all the weather at the polar stations at the same time. How it look like now. Now the Antarctica is much warmer, in fact, on the positive temperature compared to the Himalayan station, which is about minus 27 degrees now. So this is why, because it's completely different hemispheres here. And